This is my video for the Rio Black Rifle match held August 7th, 2021. I'm using a 16-inch KP15 with DMR trigger and the Sig Sauer Bravo 4 Battle Pack optic. This is a fixed 4-power optic with a very wide field of view and the Romeo Zero mounted on top of it. I have both zeroed at 50 yards. I will be doing an in-depth review of this optics package on InRange TV in the future. On this stage, we have two targets, one at about 250 yards and the other at just over 300 yards. They must be hit once each from 4 different positions. From this first position, I take up a reverse kneeling position. My left leg is up, supporting my left arm, and I'm pulling the rifle into the corner of the barricade. I deploy the bipod as I move forward and lean into the table. Likewise, I use the bipod off the trunk of the car, leaning into it the same way. As I leave the position, I fold my bipod back up so I can lay it flat across the top of the prop. The description specified the rifle just had to be touching the prop. It's easier for me to get into position hanging off the side of it here. I'm first in stealth, giving me 100 match points. This stage has 3 steel at 70 to 90 yards from the first position, then 5 paper targets from down in the pit, then 2 more steel at about 300 yards from the top of the stairs. The way I chose to shoot the paper on this stage ended up costing me. While walking the stage, some shooters on my squad identified that the position marked by the red X would allow a shooter to engage all 5 paper targets from one position. However, it would require a hard lean, and some of the targets were only partially exposed. For me to be able to use this position, I would have to transition to my right shoulder, which is something I'm quite used to doing if you've seen my other videos. However, doing this on partially exposed targets with a very tall offset red dot was not a recipe for success. While it would have required more movement, I should have shot from the 3 positions notated by the blue lines, engaging 2 targets from the first position, 1 target from the center, and 2 from the last position. This would have been more of a sure thing, being left-handed with a new optics package with the taller offset. I have my bipod fully extended on this first position, even though I don't need it that tall here. I will need it that tall at the end of the stage, and setting leg position length on the clock isn't something I like to do. You may note I already handed the rifle off to my right before I transition to the ground, so I can start engaging as soon as I'm in position. This third target is the one that I end up getting a failure to neutralize on. It's really threading the needle for that shot. This last target requires a very hard lean to engage from that position. Note, I reload from my right shoulder as I go up the stairs and then transition back to my left. I now have the 2 targets up the hill to engage. It takes me a few rounds to get on the first target, but once I figure out my holds at this angle, I get the next target on the first shot. Slow paper engagement with a plus 5-second FTN penalty puts me in 9th in stealth with 59.31% of the winner's score. On this stage, we have 12 targets from the first position, 6 hanging steel at 90 yards, then 2 arrays of 2 in the mid-200s, and then a final 2 silhouettes at 300. From anywhere inside the helicopter, the shooter must engage the targets again, omitting the 6 hanging targets at 90 yards. This truck has a lot of bounce to it. As I transition across the arrays and reposition my feet inside the truck, I have to wait to restabilize before sending the shots. I'm pretty happy that I only required 1 extra shot on this entire stage. I quickly think twice about how I'm going to exit the truck and keep the rifle downrange without breaking the 180. I had to hand it off to my right hand, which is something I have to do quite often as a left-handed shooter to maintain the 180. Inside the helicopter, I support off the front seat with my left elbow. That's a trick I've learned from having to shoot from this prop before. It's a much more stable position than the rear window. Right-handed shooters can't make use of this position as effectively. I'm second in stealth with 97.86% of the winner's score. On this stage, there are 3 arrays of 2 targets to be engaged from 3 different positions. The targets are about 275 to 375 yards. The distances increase with each position. With the bipod folded and my weight pushing down into the top of these barrels, this position is quite stable. I think the most important thing to be good at this particular match format is knowing how much stability you need to make first round hits as quickly as possible. Stabilize too long and you're wasting time. Stabilize not enough and you're going to be wasting rounds downrange and time accordingly.
Unload, show clear. What's our time on that one? 1 for 1 for the whole stage. There you go. 6-6, baby.
I'm first in stealth division, giving me 100 match points. This was also one of the rare instances where I had the overall stage win as well, having the fastest time across all divisions. This stage starts with 6 paper targets as the shooter advances throughout the course. From on top of the stairs across the prop, there are 2 close-range hanging diamonds and 2 further steel at about 300 yards. On these close-range paper, I'm using the Romeo Zero mounted on top of the primary optic. You'll see me send a couple extra rounds. I'm just not fully confident in using this offset red dot at this point. To get comfortable with this red dot stacked on top of the primary optic, I'm going to have to do some specific practice on paper at close ranges. I am, however, very comfortable with the primary optic, and my hit ratio as I got into the match improved dramatically. On this particular stage, I went 1 for 1 on the distance targets again. I'm second in stealth with 83.29% of the winner's score. In the end, I'm second out of 18 in stealth division with 96.15% of the winner's score. Here's all my division stage points and percentages. It's really clear here how much the second stage I shot, stage 4, hurt me overall. But with 2 stage wins and the other 2 stages being high percentile finishes, I'm still able to place second in my division. In the overall scores, I'm 9th out of 71 shooters with 80.51% of the winner's score. I'm going to continue using the Bravo 4 Battle Pack across several more matches to develop a full opinion of it, which will be included in my review on InRange TV. Please don't ask me my opinion of it until that review is completed. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.